Welcome! I'm Simone Curzi and this presentation is about a tool that I have just developed and that I am going to share freely to the security community. The tool is something that is going to integrate Microsoft threat modeling tool, giving new features, in particular for managing the threats mitigation. My tool is a complement to Microsoft Threat Modeling Tool 2016, and this means that it can open files generated by that tool. Let's see an example. This example is a model generated with Microsoft Threat Modeling Tool, and it represents a reference architecture for IoT. This reference architecture, as it is represented here, has some threats, and the new version of the tool, of a Microsoft tool, is able to generate automatically the threats based on a template that is used and defines the rules for generating those threats. So I can go here and see what are the different threats that have been generated. Really, you see I have 133 threats here. For each threat I can go here and do a mitigation. In other words, I can say that this threat does not represent a risk too high for my system due to the fact that it is mitigated by using some security control. So I should go for each and every threat and define what should be done. It can be a very expensive activity. Typically, mitigating a single item requires about 15 minutes. If you do a complete assessment of the threat, if you tend to consider multiple security controls, not only to delay the attacker, but also to detect an attack or compensate for an attack. So mitigating could be really something very expensive. And it is important to have a tool that would help you in doing this activity. This tool is Threats Manager. Threats Manager is really simple. It is able, as I said, to open exactly the documents that have been generated by Microsoft Threat Modeling Tool 2016, not the other version of the tool, but 2016, yes, it is able, and it shows the different threats in a very useful, in a very simple way by collecting the threats based on the specific template that have been generated them. So you see that the cross-site request forgery threat has been applied 10 times in this case. And for each threat you see the page where it has been applied, the flow that has been interested by that, the source of the flow and the target. And then you have other metadata like who changed this information. In this case no one changed that. It has been generated by the tool, so it is pristine. When it has been changed and the state. Not started, no one worked on that. If you click on one of those threads, the lower part, the lower panel, will be loaded with the information about the threat. So you have combo boxes, essentially, like for the status, for the category, which allow you to change the different values of the object. You have text boxes where you can put your data, your information, and this is where you will do your mitigation, as you used to do with the Microsoft Threat Modeling Tool. If you are not sure about the entities, about the specific threat where it is applied, typically it is important to determine what type of mitigation must be applied. You can go to the relevant cells that are the one about the flow name, and you can see the properties of those objects. You can do that in the flow name, in the source, and in the target, not everywhere else. And this is clearly shown by the tool itself. Now, the topic here is to be able to mitigate efficiently. So let's do an example about that. Let's consider this situation. We have a mitigation that we want to apply to this specific instance of the threat, because it starts from an external interactor, which is shown by a humanoid form. If you have a process, therefore a component of your solution, you will have a piece of puzzle. Otherwise you would have a database. I think that I can, where it is, yes, I think this is the database icon for the data store. So you can see what type of objects you are working by simply viewing the table. And now let's do an example of this mitigation. In this case, we consider that we want to apply mitigation to this threat specific, and then we want to apply the mitigation tool to these other two instances, because they involve, in this case, an external interactor as well. So let's go there. Justification is a mitigation for external interactor. We can use naturally text, and you can name the source, for example, human user to device, and device being the target in this case. Now, as we said, we want to apply the mitigation only to the two threats having as a source the external interactor as well. How we can do that? Copy the item and paste that here and here. It will not be okay really, because it is not correct. For example, in this second case, we have, this is mitigation for external interactor human user to device, but in this case it is data federation partner to backend services, so it is not smart way to do the copy. And also, if we have many items, it will be complex to copy on each and every thread here. So we want to have a smarter way. This is implemented by using the mark column. We can mark the columns that we want to have as a destination. In this case, we can have, for example, we have different colors that we can use as markers. It is not important really what we use. The color is absolutely, the meaning is something that you will put on that. These are simply colors, not really relevant for me. Now we want to copy the configuration, the first line, to what is marked with blue. So we have apply to only blue. By using this, I can see that those lines have been changed, and in this case the modification has been performed in a smart way. In fact, the destination now is backend services. In this other case, the source data federation partner has been applied correctly, both source and target names. Another interesting feature here is to understand the status. We have in the status bar the different counters that show you what have been done, the status based on the status of the different threads. So let's change our threat to mitigated. In this case, the value has changed immediately, and as we apply this modification to the other blue items, I can see that the values has changed. Also, we have this bar that shows me graphically how I am going, because it will be filled when everything will be okay. We will see how it is calculated, what is okay, and typically this counter is calculated using the mitigated status. It could be calculated using also the not applicable, or even the needs investigation. So everything but not started. You can decide what to use. And this target achieved, you can define a target that will be executed, that will be used. As soon as you reach this target, the target achieved will turn black. And this will mean that you are okay, you have mitigated enough. Naturally, it is up to you to mitigate everything that is with the highest priority. Now, let's continue our exercise, and let's consider the other values. We can have also the mark as block. If I mark a threat as block, every application that I will do will not be applied to that. This is a special marker that will turn off the possibility to receive changes. In fact, I will have everything that is excluding that. I can, for example, apply to everything but block. So what to do when I have blocked? I can revert this by applying another marker. I can apply only one marker at most, or I can clear the mark. So at this point I can apply everything also to that. Now, after I've done this, you have seen the row containing the threat type that has changed color. Color is changed based on the status of the item, the single item, or in the case of the threat type, of the threats that are of that type. And I have different colors. Let's consider this. We can have mitigated, that is green. We can have not applicable, that is gray. Needs investigation, with this that is a sort of pink, and not started, naturally, that is white. When I change the status of the lines, also of the threats, also the threat type changes status. When everything is mitigated, the threat type is green. When everything is mitigated or not applicable, the threat type is green as well, because it is okay, it is finished, the activity on that. When everything has been worked in a way, is mitigated or needs investigation or not applicable, we have not started threats, then the line will turn yellow. It will be a very light yellow if not selected, or a yellow if selected. And when you continue naturally doing that, the bar is filled. Let's see what happens if I continue this exercise. Mitigated, apply to everything. You see this line is continues to fill, and at this point, if I apply now, you have seen that after having done that, the bar has filled a bit more and target has been highlighted, target achieved. So in this case, it means that I'm done. I can continue, but really for my goals have been achieved. I'm done. How can I set that? By using the options. The options contain different values, different parameters that I can work with. Smart copy. Smart copy is the feature that allows me to change values as I copy them. Strict checking means that the verification of the matching is done in a case sensitive way when I use strict checking, or case insensitive way when it is off. Completeness threshold. Completeness threshold is used to highlight the target achieved label, to enable it. In this case is 20%. Completeness method. This is used to calculate how this bar is filled and also when the target is achieved. In this case, only mitigated and not applicable are considered. The other possible values are only mitigated threats or all threats but the not started ones. Another important feature is the smart backup. When you save the file, it receives, when you have smart backup, a suffix automatic. This suffix contains the date and the time of the creation of the file. So you have every time a new copy. And the system will maintain up to 3 versions, up to 3 files. The older file will be deleted. This feature will not delete the original file from the threat modeling tool, that is the file that has no suffix. It will be preserved no matter what. If you have as maximum number of versions 0, then all versions will be maintained. Then we have the properties. With the properties you will define what will be copied when you use the automatic mark-based copy. So these are the features of this tool. You can undo the changes you are doing, and also with the about. If you want to have additional information about the tool or contact me for anything, please please refer to my blog and the specific page about the Threats Manager. That's all, folks. So please download the Threats Manager, please download Microsoft Threat Modeling Tool 2016 and enjoy.